Hi guys, how you doing? So today we're talking about envy and jealousy. They're really, really ugly emotions, and almost all of us will go, I don't get jealous. No, I'm too confident for that. And all of us, at one time or another, feel jealous or envious. They're hideous, horrible emotions to feel. Nobody likes feeling like that. But if harnessed, understood, and accepted honestly and openly, they can be the most powerful emotions that we have in our arsenal in terms of recognizing where we need to change, develop, and grow. And if we can teach our children to do the same, it's immensely powerful for their resilience and their progress as humans. So it's a really good one to look at. Let's work out what we're talking about first, though, because if we don't know that, we can't actually get anywhere with it. If we're talking about desire, you might look at a piece of cake and go, I really want that. I might look at a girl on Instagram who has an amazing bottom and go, she's got an amazing bottom. I wish my bottom looked like that. If you were envious, it goes a step further, and you'll find there are some more negative emotions coming in there. Capitalism is built on desire. So all of our commercial systems, all of the things with us wanting things, it's based on desire, looking at something going, I really want that. Envy. Envy is where I might see the same bottom, see the same picture and go, oh, it's not fair. She looks amazing and I work really hard and I don't look like that. She's getting paid loads for looking like that as well, and I have to work really hard at my job. I think I'm a bit rubbish. Oh, I wish my life was different. Social media and our communications platforms are all built on the concept of envy, of fear of not being good enough, of fear of not fitting in with everybody else. That's why it's really important to recognise when you feel like that. And jealousy is really ugly. Jealousy is a whole beast in its own right. Jealousy is when you might see the same girl on social media and go, oh my God, look at that tart with her ass hanging out. What a gross way to earn a living. Look at her getting paid loads of money just for doing that. And here's me working at my job all day, every day. I hate her. Jealousy is where it becomes external. So we see it, we recognise we're feeling feelings about it, and we make it somebody else's fault because we can't acknowledge it in ourselves, and we don't want to. It makes us angry and cross and ragey and difficulty. Envy and jealousy are sisters, if you like. They both come from a place of secondary emotion, so they're not the first thing that you'd feel. Normally there's something else going on. Almost always a question of either fear, you're scared that you don't measure up, you're scared that you lose something that you love, you're scared that you might not get something you want, or unmet needs. So you're not getting something that you think you should have. Jealousy in particular plays into the idea that somebody else has gotten something that subconsciously or consciously you think should be yours, and that can be really, really toxic. Particularly if you take consideration relationships with your children. If you're getting jealous of somebody else's constant bragging about their kid, you can start putting undue pressure on your own child, which is really unhealthy, and start affecting their development and your relationship with them based on a set of values that don't actually mean anything to you. If we're talking about your self-worth and your self-identity, seeing somebody at work get a promotion that you've worked hard for and you think you deserve, if you can't rein in your own jealousy, you can really cause problems in your career and your workplace. And in your relationships, if you're feeling jealousy, that can erode away trust, it can erode away the foundation of everything that you hold dear to yourself, because you can become unpleasant. If it's envy, you can start behaving in a way that you maybe don't like. Now, I will be honest with you and say I hadn't felt true jealousy for maybe 15 years until earlier this summer. And then I got hit by a bout of jealousy so unexpected, so completely out of the blue over something that I thought I had control over, that I was almost sick to my stomach with it. It was really horrible. It's a really ugly feeling, isn't it? It's like all of a sudden you're a nice person, picked up, taken out, replaced with evil, vicious gremlin who just pours bile out, spills it everywhere. It took me 3 days to stop basically being a hideous bitch. Now, I want to tell you that the way I dealt with this as a therapist, as a coach, as a human who likes to think of herself as someone who works on self-development and being better, was obviously I took some time to reflect on that, think about what I was going to do, recognise that it was about me, and make steps to make a difference in my life. That's not what I did. No. What I actually did was retaliate. Now, the other person had no idea that they'd made me feel jealous. I've never disclosed it, never gonna. I'm not even going to say here what it was, because I don't want to identify any of my personal situations as much as I'm willing to share my life. I retaliated in a very petty and childish, extremely calculated way that did not make me feel good about myself, although it did make me feel better for a minute. Nobody else realised I'd done it. It was purely for my own benefit. Nobody else would have clicked that I was doing anything at all, but it was for me. It was spiteful and unnecessary, but I'm a human, and you're a human, and it's important that we recognise that we feel these things so that we can move past them. And then I spent 3 days grousing and moaning, and then I blamed the other person even though they'd done absolutely nothing wrong, and it was purely because I was being a bitch. And then eventually I recognised that I needed to deal with it. And you will do the same if you're feeling the same way too. We can take various situations and how we can make that situation much more positive. For instance, the first step is recognising what you're feeling. In my case, I was minimising a situation that I should have recognised a while ago. I was telling myself I was in control of something, I was telling myself it didn't actually bother me that much, and actually I could live my life perfectly well as the way things were, and I was fine with it. And when that moment hit, that was the moment that I had to go, that's a lie, you're going to need to change direction. So honesty is really important. In other situations, that might look like somebody else getting a promotion at work. You might want to go, the bitch is clearly sleeping with the boss, this is not fair, I've worked for years, I've worked here longer, she's getting a pay rise, she's got stuff I don't want. You might really want to rage out. You might want to go for it. You might be saying, oh my god, it's because I'm never going to be good enough. It doesn't matter what I do, they're never going to recognise me. I'm just a crap person. Neither of those things is true, and that's what you've got to recognise, is that jealousy is a lying bitch. She will tell you all manner of unpleasant things to keep feeding the beast. But honesty is the first step to breaking it down. So instead, what you could say is, I'm really disappointed that I didn't get that promotion, and I'm not sure where my career is going now. I'm scared that maybe I'm not good enough. I'm scared that maybe I'm on the wrong path. I'm scared that I'm being overlooked. Once you've acknowledged honesty, that there are things going on for you, well then you can do something about that. If it's the job situation, you could sit with your boss. You could say to your boss, you know what, I would really have loved that promotion. I'm just wondering what I needed to do differently to make that my reality. If you're in a toxic working environment, and they do exist, let's be honest, and somebody else is being treated unfairly, and it does happen based on their relationship to bosses, based on their relationship to predecessors, based on being prettier or, you know, flashier or having a better gift of the gab or any of those things that can impact your work progress. And you know that, then maybe it's time you need to say, well, what do I want instead? If I can't get ahead in this workplace, what do I do? And that's really scary. That's where the fear comes in. Quite often what we do is, rather than acknowledging we're scared of having to make a change, we'll push it on to somebody else, make it their fault, so we don't have to. But if you can be honest about that and really open up to what you're feeling, you can make a big change. If we take a situation after that, with your children, you can see other children progressing faster than yours. You know, you've got one of those friends who's a bit like, my kid's achieved all of these amazing things. Any of you looking at me going, that's me? That's not true. Yeah, it kind of is. I don't do it to make other people jealous. I just do it because I'm really boring. However, if you're feeling jealous because somebody else's child is doing well, you'll be modelling to your child what insecurity looks like. So it's really important that you get a grip. Recognise your child for the uniquely amazing things that they bring. For me as a special needs parent, that can be hard sometimes because my child has definitely fallen behind the curve. But he's funny and he's clever and he's brilliant. And actually, by recognising who he is as an individual, we've worked together to develop a much better relationship than I think we would have done if I'd constantly pushed him to try and keep up with the expectations of everybody else. Now, it can be really hard to know that you can do that, but it makes a big difference in your long-term relationships if you're able to be honest about the fact that you're feeling insecure as a parent rather than trying to change who your child is. It's okay to feel insecure as a parent. It's okay to feel insecure in your relationship. It's okay to feel insecure in your job. It's okay to look at a woman on Facebook who's got her clothes off and is being paid loads of money for it and think that's really unfair. But it's what you do about it that makes the biggest difference in the future. Now, there is one area where jealousy can be a little bit more fun, perhaps, than expected, and that's in your relationship. My husband does not get this. He is not a jealous man. He literally does not feel insecurity in our relationship at all, which is lovely and a mark of how long we've been together. But nobody really wants to think, yeah, no one wants her anyway. It's not that big a deal, is it? Every now and then, a little bit of a pretense might be fun. And that's because quite often just a little bit of jealousy. I'm not talking about locking the doors and refusing to let you go out, or making you wear clothes that you don't otherwise like a yashmak from head to toe because they don't want anyone to look at you. That's toxic jealousy, and that you need a therapist for and to leave. But that kind of spicy jealousy, where you kind of play up to it a little bit, that can be quite fun. And it's recognising that your other half is still a person and still maybe attractive to other people. Even if the rest of the world is like, what, really? You letting on that you feel like that can be fun. Just don't let it get out of control. If you're finding jealousy is a big issue in your relationships day to day, if you're jealous of where your partner is, if you're jealous of where you're going, that can be really, really damaging, and you need to look into yourself. Your opportunity there is firstly to recognise that it's you, and secondly to say, what do I need to do about this? The chances are there's probably a pattern throughout your life. Go back in your head and say, when was the first time I felt like this? When was the first time I felt like I wasn't enough? When was the first time in my life I felt like I was going to be abandoned? When was the first time in my life I felt like somebody wasn't telling me the truth? If you can track that back to your early experiences, you can actually completely shift and change how you model your relationship moving forwards to something much more secure. And that's incredibly, incredibly freeing and liberating. It's all about the 3 stages. Recognizing you feel it, being really honest about why, and then fixing it. If you can do that, sky's the limit, guys. See you soon.